I am that nigga. Just
Exactly.
don't know it. Oh man. But in the white neighborhoods, do you think they had this problem?
Hell no.
No. So again, look at the opportunity loss because of incompetent blacks that can't even fucking work a propane tank. And yet these same fucking stupid ass blacks think that they have the wherewithal to go to the moon. Come on, man. Listen, I played a clip the other day. PG County, the wealthiest county in Black America at one point, probably the second wealthiest now. They don't have one 5-star restaurant. Not one. Not one 5-star hotel. Not one. The
Well, how
reason
can they
why
be the richest town in
because
America?
they a pimple on the ass of the federal government. These are not entrepreneurial people. These are not people that have money. They got jobs. And one loss of that fucking job will have them niggas living in the ghetto in PG as opposed to Upper Marlboro. That is the truth of the matter, right? They have
They'll be
jobs.
renting from you, huh?
Yeah, they'll be renting for me. These listen, bro. I'm gonna tell you some shit. Listen, I'm gonna tell you. See, this is you want to tell you how the black money flow. If you really want to see this, this is why I was trying to tell the niggas on Free Zone panel. Once you niggas get over your timidity of blacks, right? Because that's all of what it is. You scared of them. You don't want to send your children to school with them, but school don't really matter for niggas no way. Because ain't none of you niggas taking school and making no hill of beans out of it. So you might as well get over that and stop moving around because of schools, because your children ain't learning shit worth nothing anyway. Definitely black children ain't learning shit in these motherfucking schools. So, but where is the opportunity? It's in the corner stores. Like niggas like The Wire. You ever watch The Wire?
Oh yeah.
So okay,
Greatest show on HBO.
On The Wire, what did they fight over most?
The corners.
But why did they fight over the corners?
Because they're trying to hustle.
But why were the corners so important? You ever sold drugs before?
I may not share that,
but
let's say I know something about.
But the corners are important if you're selling drugs, correct?
Of course, that's your landmark.
It's your site point,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You see,
everybody knows that's your corner. That's you. That's
right. And so what I'm saying, and if you ever been to Brooklyn or Bronx and Manhattan or whatever,
of course,
what you see in the black neighborhoods is they don't have any corners.
No,
any corners. They have no corners. They out in Long Island. They out smattered about here and there, but not one corner do they own. That is the problem. Every other group of people own some kind of corner. And the blacks are just trying to work themselves out of having to own a corner. And partly they're afraid of the kids. They've been told that you need to be in a good school neighborhood. Man, look, for the smarty-arty blacks, trust me, if they had any entrepreneurial bones in their body, they'd be better off telling the kids, don't even go to school no more after about the 5th or 6th grade. Just come work with me at the family store.
Yeah, once they know how to add and subtract, that's really all you need, and learn how to read.
Bro, let me tell you, I had a Spanish dude. I can call him if it wasn't so late. And I've told the story before. He shows up in my house one day, school day, with his son, about 10, 12 years old. I don't know how old he was. He said, I said, well, that boy ain't in school. He said, you don't want to go to school. I said, okay, fuck it. He hear what you learning plumbing. Today, he's a foreman on a construction team.
Yeah, yeah.
He knew early. And I think with children, you can see early what they are and what they not, what they're interested in, and maybe what they aren't interested in. If your son shows up at graduation talking about he want to be a software developer, probably not. Probably not. Because he got to compete with niggas like me. I've been doing this shit.
Sometimes, John, sometimes we steer our kids into the wrong line, like what we want. You know what I mean? Like we want our kids to be better than us, but sometimes we steer them the wrong way. We just gotta let them do whatever the hell they want to do.
Man, one of the things.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, one of the things is though that I want to impress upon people. This is why I'm going to go in this direction. I had my daughter up here cleaning one of my fucking houses. One of my houses. And she was doing a wonderful job. Wonderful job. And I saw something in that because most blacks don't want clean shit. Right?
Exactly.
Definitely don't want clean shit after nobody else. They ain't make that mess. That ain't my mess. So my daughter, she jumped into it. She was up on her tippy toes trying to get behind the scene. I said, damn. Who knows what that could be?
Yeah, that could be a business. That could be a cleaning business right there.
And you know, one day I was on the stream and I needed a cleaner one day. And my typical cleaners were busy. So I got to calling around cleaners and I was waiting on phone calls online. And I was calling people, talking to them. These cleaners were so busy that they couldn't get to me the same day. I started calling them early in the morning. Yo, they're working. They're working. Now, let me explain something to you. Now, I'm going all off topic here, but it just brings a thought to my head. One day I was coming down 16th Street right there by the Hilton. It's right by the White House. I saw a bunch of blacks picketing and protesting, whatever. And they were protesting for better wages and stuff like that. It's the cleaning crew of the hotel. The hotel, DC has laws. Most cities have laws about cleaning the hotel, this, that, other regulations, right? You understand? A room must be cleaned every day or after every guest or this or that. You know, the city sets those rules, the bare minimum. So the hotel wanted to cut back on its hotel staff, you know, more align them with demand. You understand? Where not right now, they were on, hey, we work 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. The hotel was saying, well, if we don't have any hotel rooms that need cleaning, what the hell are you coming to work for?
Exactly.
Yeah? Right? And so the blacks were picketing and protesting. And I said, why don't they just go become cleaners and own their own business?
Exactly.
Wouldn't that make more sense? Instead of begging these people to give you the terms you want, just open your own business, cleaning. Hell, you're cleaning. It's a natural transition.
You know what it is, John? Is that they want to work, but they want to do the less amount of work, and they want to get the top dollar. And that's what I'm saying. They're fighting for wages, but there ain't no wages coming in. So if there's no rooms for you to clean, what you just gonna stand around and watch the man pay you for nothing just so you can sit around?
You know, sometimes people talk about, when I was a young man, and this is interesting, my dad taught me something, but it was taught to him by a white man. Our grandfather didn't own a business. So how the hell would my grandfather teach my dad? So when blacks and whites had better relations in America, what's up, Osborne? My dad worked for a white man. He was a butcher. And so one day my dad was at work and he just standing about doing nothing, waiting on customers to come in.
Mm-hmm.
The white man comes up to him and he said, either you find something to do or I'll give you something to do and you ain't gonna like it.
Exactly.
Don't just fucking stand here. You understand? And my point being is that was a lesson that my dad's father couldn't have taught him.
Mm-hmm.
By the grace of God, that the white man was there and willing to teach my dad a lesson that he later passed on to me. You understand?
What you think about that message that Shred just put?
What?
We've been cleaning for 400 years. It's our turn to be CEOs.
I mean, it's different skill sets. I covered Deshaun Foster. I just noticed he was fired today. And I think even before I didn't even publish the damn video before he got fired. But I said they got to fire him. Because they gave him an opportunity to come up. You know how when it's an introduction. Hey, what's up? You're the new coach of UCLA. And he was like a fish out of water, had no words. And so, but here he is tasked to give a game plan and prepare men to go do, execute a game plan for him. But he, on the spotlight, had no words. He couldn't articulate a damn thing.
That's crazy.
And so now, a year later, he's fired, and he probably feels down about himself, but he was out of position. Maybe he would have done a lot better as running backs coach. He knows running backs. He doesn't know how to coach a team. He's never done anything like that. Most blacks have never run. Like the average, bro, here's a good example. If I were to poll my audience, and I'm talking about black or white, How many people have managed 10 people or more?
It's not a whole lot.
Hmm? How many people you think have managed 10 people or more? Hmm? Think about it. That's not a lot of people. It's a small business. You know the personality, like you got 10 people, you got 10 different personalities.
Yep. Trust me, I was a supervisor, so I knew. Dealing
So
with
you
people is probably the hardest thing. It takes a special trade, a special person, a special everything. You know what I
right,
mean?
right. So now we talking about you got to have people that know how to do things, and you got to have another ecosystem of people that know how to manage those people. The blacks don't have a bench that deep. I'm sorry, they don't have a bench that deep of skilled workers, skilled managers, skilled executives, financiers, blah, blah, blah. Bro, they can't even keep their streets clean. They can't even put on a festival and run a damn propane tank. Bro, this is how low they are, right? I don't care how many books you read. I don't care what college you went to. Like, down on the level, right? These people.
Wait, you don't think, John, is that they're trying to jump? They're trying to. It's like a saying. You're trying to put the cart before the horse, type of thing.
They're
It's
trying to
like,
build a house from the top down. Like,
yeah, it's like
bro,
how if you don't know how to lay the foundation, but you want to own the house.
bro, let me tell you. You want to get some foundation work done here in DC area? And I'm talking about like on my level.
Yeah.
You got to go to a Hispanic man.
Yeah, that's it. They know how to do that well.
Like you can call a company. Like let's say you get some water in your basement. You can call a company and they're gonna be like $45,000, and you don't know if they're gonna be good or not. You don't know. But I can call Ramon, my Spanish guy,
Yeah,
and I know it's gonna be right. And so
he gonna charge you 10,000.
Right, man, bro. I had an opening cut in a brick wall in my house. Right, I wanted to like do some little fancy shit. That motherfucker came and cut that shit like that.
Yeah,
and left. He came and cut it and left before I even saw the work done, and didn't even ask me for any money. I mean, I had to pay him, but what I'm saying is he had working capital. That's a big thing there. That's a big thing that, again, that once the blacks get in business, that's the one thing they don't have is working capital.
They don't.
So he had working capital to just come and do a job and not need the money ASAP. But what did I have?
He had money to pay his employees too.
But what did I have? I got dope too now. He won't do that for you.
Yeah.
You do that for me because he know that not only do I might have other jobs, but I know people.
And not only that, he knows you're not a typical black either.
And I know people. See, one of the things, like, bro, he called me a nigga. He's like, you my nigga. Like, and I'm gonna tell you something crazy. If it wasn't so late, I'd call him. You've heard me oftentimes talk about my friend from Israel. He's from Ashdod, Adam. He's been on the channel before. Jewish guy, straight from Ashdod, Israel. If you know about Israel, Ashdod is a coastal town. He was a liberal before he met me. I met him in this house. I was upstairs. I got to tell you guys that story later, how I met Adam. Remind me. But anyway, so Adam used to work with Ramon. And I used to always need, like, foundation work is the hardest shit to find. Because you can't trust these motherfuckers.
No, you can't.
Once they close your wall up, you don't know if it's going to get water in there until it rains again. Those are the breaks. You understand?
Yeah.
So Adam, my Jewish friend, Israeli friend, he had control of Ramon. But for you blacks out here in the audience that want to be for immigration, here's a pro-immigration story for you niggas. But Ramon is Salvadoran. Adam, of course you did. He's a Sephardic Jew. You know what that is, right? The curly hair, not the white looking. Anyway, personality-wise, Ramon is more black than white. You understand?
Yeah.
And so Adam said something to Ramon that Ramon took the wrong way. You gotta understand how to talk to people. That is what I'm saying is the black advantage. If they know how to deal with people, you have an advantage by your race. So Adam finally gave Ramon my number, or he gave me his number, whatever. And so Ramon and I become friends because we're like minorities.
Yeah.
And he didn't like the way that Adam talked to him. See, I know not to talk to him. I know these Spanish niggas are macho as fuck. Understand?
Yeah.
You don't go with him like that. And so that's how I was able to work that working relationship. What they call it, the black brown coalition. You understand? Most of my workers are brown. You understand? But I know how to deal with the browns. And I know how to deal with the blacks. The blacks who are in corporate America, they don't know how to deal with the browns. They don't know how to deal with the browns. Like if they want to get a roof on their house, who like you see 90s? Like 90s don't even fucking understand. Like, nigga, I've been doing this so long. Right? I got a Rolodex full of Spanish people. Man, I got a clip, the nigga done took it down, and I got it, nigga. You can't hide it from me. Well, he said, John saved my life. He said, John saved my life. He said, I didn't know what to do. And I'm going to do everything he told me to do. This is what 90 said. And the lazy bastard did show you how lowly a nigger is that he took the clip down. Put it back up, nigga. Right? Put it back up. Pay some recompense to me, nigga. You owe me, nigga. I ain't have to give you no fucking advice. I jumped up on your stream, gave you some advice. Your fucking fat ass was about to fall asleep. I gave you life, nigga. And this fat fucking nigga gonna get up here and goddamn talk shit about me, fat fucking nigga. This is what I'm saying. This is blacks. And this is what I'm saying. Like, when you see that fat fucking nigga up on Gospel of Bob, thank me, nigga. Thank me, nigga. I told you niggas. This is the beginning of my journey, even before you see the title here. I'm gonna coalesce all these fucking niggas. And I drop one fucking bomb on them bitches and kill them all, cockroach ass niggas. And I coalesced them all. Did I not? I got 90 up on Bob. I got all these fuck niggas doing reacts to me. But I tell you fucking niggas, if you love blacks like you say you love the niggas, don't fuck with me. Because I will put child molesters in your neighborhoods that you love so much, and around the blacks that you love so much. And there ain't a damn thing you can do about it because the government will pat me on my back for renting to niggers like that. You do have to understand that. And say, I'm a different fucking nigger. A real
You froze, John.
Yeah, I don't know what happened here. Can you hear me? I don't know if you can hear me here. Let me make sure my mic is on. Yeah. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me here. Are you able to hear me? Testing 1, 2 here. Oh, you can hear me. Okay, cool. Oh, okay. The other guy, he dropped off here. Anyway, so yeah, so I think for me, like I hear all these people talking. That's not John. What? Yes. Do I need to switch sides here? Is Question still here? I don't know if Question's still here. Anyway, I got a couple streams coming up. I was inspired here, and what time is it? 1 o'clock. Man, I want to do like a long late night streams. I would love to do like late night 12 to 6. What do you guys think about that, by the way? Now, this is me right here. It doesn't look like me or something? Let's see. Yo, I don't know what happened to my Wi-Fi here. Something happened to the Wi-Fi, so that was the issue there. Anyway, yeah, I was thinking about doing a late night 12 to 6. So what do you guys think of that? Late night 12 to 6 live, and then clip it up and see how that goes. Oh, you know what? Let me put the link in the chat, by the way. I can't remember what I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted by the internet here, but one of the things I do want to say, damn, can you guys really hear me? I don't know why it feels like I can't. You guys can hear me. Guys, by the way, I don't do this very often, and I don't do it a lot. But I must say, guys, support the channel. We're hour 23 minutes in at midnight on a Monday morning here. And if I feel so inclined, I might take you all the way into your work day. You hear me in your sleep here. For those of you that might pass out, for those of you that are trucking and stuff like that. I saw Clue Studio in the chat earlier. Yo, has anyone seen Clue Studio's truck? Yo, it's a nice setup he has there. Real nice setup. Yo, Shredder, I got to play that video that you sent me about it. I played it once in a. Oh, yeah, I forget what. But yeah, like all these people that I've lived at Let's Drop for some time. I don't know what it is. So if you've been paying attention, one of the things you may have seen is that I'm blinking here, I'm waving my hands here, and one of the things you may have seen is that, and Master Kim even mentioned this to me over the phone. It is kind of interesting that all of these people that have been up on your stream and seemingly were friendly with you are now seemingly like kicking at you, like Stanley and here for the T Ross Girl, people like that. I've done live streams with Ross Girl. Bob has been up here. I mean, and so it is all rather interesting again. And so for those of you that don't know what you're saying or can't see what you're saying, I want to do a deep dive into these things. And of course, I want to talk about the whole notion of this Black excellence. And we're going to talk about, would you let a Black open you up and operate on you? I'm really curious to know. We dance around, we talk about Black excellence and all these things, but I don't know if hell no. I wouldn't let a Black operate on me, period, point blank. No, wouldn't do it. And so I think a lot of people probably feel the same way. I know my buddy Philippe would not let a Black fly him in a plane. And so we have a lot of Blacks that keep talking these things, the Q Butters of the world, building rockets and stuff like that. But Jason Kessler. Yeah, Jason Kessler left me a comment here. Anyway, let me share this with you. This is what's interesting here. And this is what I'm going to be talking about later in the week. If I don't cover it thoroughly today, let's see, here it is. Here's the headline here. And the headline is Black medical students have little interest in cardiothoracic surgery. And sharing the tab here. And it's coming up here. This is from Cardiovascular Business. Black medical students have little interest in cardiothoracic surgery. I'll maximize this for you. Despite increased interest in CTS amongst medical students broadly, the number of Black and Hispanic trainees, in CTS has not seen significant growth over the past decade. Wrote a researcher with the University of Chicago Pritzker School, that's the governor of Chicago School of Medicine. Barriers to entry into the field have been described for female medical students, but no studies have explored the question for minoritized medical students. The guy sent a 23-question survey to medical students from 40 different medical schools. They received nearly 400 responses from Black medical students. Surgical subspecialties were popular among survey respondents. However, that interest did not carry over specifically to CTS. CTS is cardiothoracic surgery. In fact, 42% of respondents said they were not at all interested in CTS, and just 25% of respondents indicated some level of positive interest in this specialty. Men more than women were interested, highlighting the fact that Black women in particular are unlikely to pursue a career in this field. One of the survey's takeaways was the fact that medical students are not being exposed to it, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, so here's the thing that, another specific field of medicine. The same thing probably could be said about a lot of specific fields of, say, welding or underwater painting and stuff like that. I don't think the Blacks are there in terms of the interest. They're just not there. And encouraging them by the school system to engage in these fields, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And so I have another article about that as well. Cam the King, man, what's up? Glad to see you back. I don't support anything DEI. Me either. One of the things DEI that clearly did not work was the UCLA head coach. It should have been obvious to everyone, and I played the initial video of him at the press conference. I mean, the guy couldn't even utter a word, and he's going to be the leader of men. I don't think it works like that. So that was kind of DEI on steroids, and one of the people that would have been instrumental in hiring him was an advocate of DEI. So there is that as well. I was in a motorcycle accident. Cam the King was in a motorcycle accident too. You guys have that in common. I got ran over by a Silverado when I was at the hospital in Gage. Yo, there's so many malpractices and shit among the Black doctors and shit that and it's not just Black. My mother had a malpractice case herself, and it was a white doctor. But it's like rot that infects the entire system. If you're going to lower the standard for Blacks, you're going to have to lower it pretty low. Then a lot of people are going to be crossing the bar there that probably shouldn't. And I think you see that. And this is one of the things that you're coming on the screen really highlights the problem, is that it's not just the doctors. It's the x-ray people. Let me tell you, my mother was in the hospital 18 days. This is a true story. And as you get older, it becomes very difficult to hit your vein and draw your blood. For whatever reason, the hospital needs to draw a lot of blood. And so none of the nurses could hit the vein. It was a white guy from the military. He served time in the military, maybe been trained there, and he was able to hit the vein. That's very true. From my mother. And, I'll tell you another thing from my mother, which is also very interesting. So my mother, as I said, she spent 18 days in the hospital. And one of the things that your Republic, if you want to come up, I'm open to a guest. I'm trying to do as long as possible tonight. So I may need some help here, but I'm going to do it as long as possible. So one of the things, my mother was in the hospital, again, she couldn't hit the vein. So the nurses couldn't hit the vein. So the white former military, he actually had tattoos as well. He could actually hit the vein. So my mother was very appreciative of him. If you've ever had trouble getting blood taken, you'll appreciate someone that can hit the vein, one shot, one hit a quitter. But anyway, so it was the other things though that really, really, really made her stay. No, Republic, come on. I don't have any thoughts about you, Republic. I mean, you're a nice lady. So one of the things that, again, it's one of those things you may not think about, is that as my mother lay there in the hospital, she want to have small talk with the staff. Hey, who's winning the football game? Blah, 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 blah. And so was there being so many foreigners there, they didn't have anything of interest to talk to her about. But it was the one white former military nurse that she could at least talk about, like Americana, that they had that little bit in common with. So I found that interesting, and I shared it with you. I think those things are important. A lot of times the blacks look at whites as isn't like someone to agitate or the hatred there, but we share a lot more in common than say with the immigrants. So anyway, this is my thoughts here. What's up, Republic?
Hey, thank you. I snuck on downstairs. I'm off. Yeah, I'm off. We're at separate schedules, so I work nights, but I work tomorrow night. Pardon?
Are you in Dallas?
No, I'm not gonna tell you where I am, but I'm not.
No, I didn't know if you were in Texas or not.
I'm not in Dallas.
Okay, all right, fair enough. But you're in the nursing field, right? Healthcare field. I'm sorry.
That's right. I've been a registered nurse for 28 years.
No, I was telling give me 1 second. Did I put some beer in the refrigerator? I did. Let me put this orange juice in the refrigerator for the tequila. Yeah, so Republic, I was telling the audience, my mother was in the hospital, and many of these staff were foreign, not atypical. And so she, the only one that could hit the vein was a white man, former military, but he also had, kind of a connection with Americana. So he was able to, talk to her. When you're in the hospital, you just want someone to talk to. It's like being in jail in a way. And she was the only one. He was the only one that she could kind of really, have some similar common interest with in that as she lay there on the hospital bed. If that makes sense. So they could talk about baseball.
Oh, yeah, it does, of course.
Mm-hmm. And that really matters. And I think that, a lot of times the agitation among blacks and whites, a lot of that shit goes away when you're laying in a hospital bed. You'd be wishing for clearly a black person if you're black, but if there's no black person, you don't want a foreigner over a white person. You want a white person. Someone that has something in common with you, that you can kind of talk to. That's just an experience that I had, another experience that I had along the way. That, I've long thought that blacks should stop agitating with whites and try to find some common ground. And in the areas where they can't find common ground, they need to go into their own neighborhoods. And I think they'll find some prosperity there.
Well, John, what I noticed, like in the, let's say, like the healthcare setting, especially, what I have noticed is that when it comes to, how about this? I'm going to say this. I've noticed a vast decrease in, like, when I first started out as a nurse, like when I call my, like we call new nurses baby nurses, like, when you're new. I've noticed a lot less, like, there are a lot more people from other countries coming in into medicine. Like there was a time when all I saw was like a lot of like mostly white doctors, white male doctors, especially.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of Indian doctors, let's say Philippines, even some Nigerians, but especially from India. In the nursing home sector, most of the nursing home physicians and the medical directors, like of nursing homes and of, I would say especially nursing homes, are Indian.
Yeah, you know what's interesting here in DC, and I'm somewhat familiar with DC, and I wonder if it's somewhat similar. Years ago, and I'm going to walk you up to the story. Well, I'll walk backwards. My mother had, this fairly complicated surgery, and primarily it was mostly whites, Indians, Asians in that division. It may have been, I don't know, thoracic or whatever the fuck it is, dealing with
Yeah,
your
you would say cardiothoracic surgery. Yeah, that's like whenever it's like the heart, it's the lungs,
the lung. Right.
the
So there are
throat.
very few, there are very few blacks
That's a
in
lot
that.
of schooling.
Right. And so now here's what's interesting. One time I went over to get like a weed license. This was years ago, 20 years ago, maybe, whenever they started legalizing marijuana. And at that time, you had to go see a doctor. Well, guess who the doctor was? A Nigerian.
Okay.
The point I'm making is that the real medicine is being practiced by largely other people. All the government type medicine is being practiced by the incompetents, and that largely includes a lot of blacks. Because this guy was just writing weed card prescriptions. It's not real medicine. He went to medical school, but he's not practicing medicine. It's like my friend that went to chemical engineering school, but he's not performing chemical engineering. It's just like what the article said. The blacks aren't interested. Like I've dealt with blacks, honestly. I probably dealt with blacks more than anyone else, clearly, in my sphere on YouTube. Would you say that's fair? On a day-to-day basis, would you say that's fair, Republic?
I would say that's fair.
Okay. And one of the things I found, again, and I see it on YouTube and I see it in these people's homes, like, you know how they say like coloring within the lines and stuff like that? Blacks have, and it's not a criticism. The way that blacks see the world is very, very like constricted. They do a specific group of things. Their mind doesn't take them to specialize in cardiothoracic. They see a knee. Oh, I want to be a knee surgeon. They see an ankle. I want to be an ankle surgeon. But they don't see a lung, so they don't want to be a lung surgeon. And this is why I say they have problems with software. It's because the software mind would see the lung. When you see the article where it says blacks aren't interested in, they really aren't interested in anything inside the body.
Well, like the more challenging areas is what you're saying.
Well,
like where it takes a lot of.
No, they don't see it. See, you hear me talk a lot of times here. Abstract versus concrete. And I try to talk concrete because that's a more understandable form of language for black people or for lower intelligence people. So if you speak concretely. But if you abstract that or if you extrapolate that out to software, you can't write concrete software. You can't do that. It will not work. But if you have a group of people that think concretely, then they're going to write concrete software. That doesn't work. It doesn't scale. That's the biggest problem, is that the black mindset doesn't scale. You understand? Does that make sense? That's why there are very few black software developers. Like if I start to show you code and like patterns. And then if I brought a black person up this motherfucker, a smarty-arty ass nigga, I said, nigga, use your mind. I know you don't understand code, but just give me an idea of what the fuck is going on here. You would not be able to fucking, I promise you. Matter of fact, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. What I'm going to do is, I got to think about it, but I'm probably going to put a concrete object up on the screen, and I'm going to challenge the blacks, and then I'm going to put an abstract representation of this same fucking object, and I'm going to see if the blacks can like talk me through it. And what I want to explain to you is that people are wired differently. And look, and you know, people are wired differently, and I think that's part of the problem. Oh yeah, no anime category. No, and so I'm going to do, and I'm going to show you like when we bring the black. I wish I could do it where no whites were able to chime into the and just let the blacks see if they can figure it out. They won't be able to figure it out. Trust me. Like, should I do it? Guys, what do you think? Should I do this? 37 people in the audience. Put some code up in abstract and in a concrete implementation of an object and see if they can understand that.
Well, because I'm not sure. That's your area, you know, that's your concentration. Like mine is like, I mean, I know a lot about, of course, nursing, but you know, with the kind of like medicine too. But I think what you're probably saying is like black people really aren't really good at like nuance. Is that what you're saying? Because I mean, they are more concrete. Is that what you're saying? That black people are more concrete and they don't kind of they don't know that like that gray area. But I wanted to let me address something, John. Cam said that I can barely read the little.
Don't are you listening to me? Don't address the chat. Don't do that.
Okay, because I'm not lying. I mean, he said that about Asia. I'm just saying that it was. Yeah. Okay. I won't. Yeah. Okay. It will derail, but I would say this. I remember, John, when I was still in nursing school, my best friend and my roommate at the time, when we were eating at IHOP, and a black medical student sat next to us, and he was saying that he was getting into medical school with like a 2.7, while the rest of the other students, you know, whites, had to have like a 3.0 or 3. Whatever and better. But he, as being black, he could get in with 2.7. And he was like proud of that. Like that was like something like revolutionary, like, you know, like he deserved that. And that's back when I was kind of the pro blackity black. And then my best friend, she looked at me after he like got up and ate his food and he left. She was like, that's not good. That he shouldn't be bragging on that. And some of that was when I started to shift my focus and think, you know what? Yeah, black people kind of have it wrong. And we are looking at things kind of wrong. I mean, John, some of our differences as people, maybe whether it be climate, where we're from, whatever the DNA, not that it's like so-called lesser. I think that we contribute to things differently. We all have our strengths. But my thing is, if we have our strengths, my thing is, don't elevate something that's weak and make it seem like it's like better than something else.
Well, you know, Republic, here's again, man. Here's your problem. And I just pulled this up, and this is an AI overview. And I'm going to tell you a story. And I'm going to tell you a story before I even get into this. Republic, you know, I've been a risky nigga all my life, be honest. You know what I'm saying? I'm a nigga, right? I'm a real nigga, like real risky nigga. do some shit that my buddy Philippe wouldn't do. Right? Is there a difference? I'll probably tell you. Right? You and my buddy Philippe, real button up. I'm buttoned up, but I take that fucking jacket off too. He's different. He don't like to deal with blacks. And so, but I was able to work in the software world because, you know, I've been doing it all my life. And so one of the things is I pull this thing up. I want you to read this. And tell me if you think the average black person, and this is just very basic, this is an AI over, can understand this.
You want to read it out loud or just read it silently?
You can read it silently.
Okay. Okay.
And then I want you to read another word. I want you to read this one out loud.
Okay. Which one? Is it up yet? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Polymorphism, a Greek word for many forms, is a broad concept appearing in biology, computer science, and other fields. In computer science, it's an object-oriented programming principle allowing a single interface to represent different data types or allowing objects of different classes to be treated as objects of a common superclass, leading to more flexible and reusable code. In biology, it refers to the existence of two or more distinct forms, morphs, within the same population of a species. Polymorphism
Okay, so
in computer science.
is it. So within computer science, and it touched on biology, and I was a biology major.
Oh, I didn't know that, John. Wow.
Yeah. Man, and listen, I wasn't just a biology major. One of the things I did was I went to Hunter College. You ever heard of Hunter College?
I've heard of it.
So, let me get back to this because the trader puts up do you think the average black can understand what you just read?
John, listen, when you say understand, first of all, it would have to be in that person's like, I can relate to some of it because to me it's like, because it's nursing, which I have to do biology, chemistry, all this stuff, but it's not, I think it just depends on what your strengths are and what your interests are.
Right.
This is your wheelhouse, John.
Let me explain something to you.
Okay.
See, I'm real honest, because I don't believe in putting on airs and creating no false image. I'm very, very honest. And I'm gonna put this guy on the phone one day. He's a friend of mine. And I've told this story before. I was working for a white guy. He later had to fire me. I got in some trouble outside of work. And one day I walked up to him and I asked him, I said, man, can you explain? And I'm deep into, I ain't gonna say deep, but I'm into my career as a software developer. And I knew what patterns were, but I just couldn't identify them. Like it was just something missing. And there are more patterns than factory. There's the adapter pattern, there's wrapper pattern, there's all these kind of patterns. And no one's going to use the word, hey, man, create a wrapper pattern for this. People don't use those type words in the industry. Just talk to you, and you have to be able to conceptualize, okay, I need a factory model for this. And what I also need to do is incorporate polymorphism for this. So now you got to know two words at the same damn time. You think many blacks can like not only know both words, but stitch together and like really like understand deeply? I had a problem with it. I worked with an Indian woman. This is a true story, and I've told the story. We were moving from VB, I don't know, 6 to VB.net. And my manager went over and we had a project coming up, and it was to hire 100,000 cops all over America. It was Joe Biden's baby when Obama got elected.
Oh,
and
wow.
my manager, the white guy, you can look it up. It's on the internet. I'll tell you a little bit about it. So city police departments all over the country wanted to push all of their costs to the federal government. This is very true. If you look on America right now, you see the same thing. So the cities will say, "Hey, we need money to fund our police force." So they say, "Okay, well, how much you need? Why do you need the money?" And at this time, they were reporting crime to justify government funding. Does that make sense? It's a long way from where we are today. So report all crime to justify getting more money. That's how the government works. You show me you got a problem, I'll give you money. So the government's responding by amplifying their problems. That's what happened. So they wanted to like pad their income, their uniforms, pension payments, and all this from the police by the government. The federal government pushed back on a little bit of it. I was in the meetings. I was in the meetings where they went down word for word on how they would present all this information on the website. This is very true. And so my manager, he came over to all of us. He said, "Who wants to work on this? It's a new application. It's going to be big. A lot of, what do they call it? A lot of touch, high touch." And there was an Indian who was Deepali. I'll never forget her. She said, "I don't want to learn anything new." It was going to be written in VB.net, C#.net. And we were, everything, all legacy applications were in VB6. And she said, "I don't want to learn anything new." And I never forgot that about the Indians, because all of the white boys, they wanted to learn something new. And I used to check in code. And for those of you that know what checking in code is, you have to commit your code to a repository for your peers to review it. Does that make sense to everyone in the audience? I'm not losing. Right. Okay. So, I think it was Distant Lights. He was asking me about code repositories, TFS, whatever. He may be a younger man, so he's never worked with TFS. But anyway, so we were checking our code, and I think we used TFS at the time. And it was a white manager, the same guy. He would always tell me, he says, "John, you got a little time before, deadlines. Why don't you see if you can refine your code?" That's the white man's mind. The code worked exactly. And the white man said, "See if you can make it more concise." Later on, I worked with a guy named Pete Amundsen at Comcast. We redid. If you go log into Comcast right now, you're going to hit the code that I wrote. You go pay your bill, deal finder, looking for a deal on your cable bill, all that shit I did, all of that. And I worked with a guy named Pete Amundsen. And I would check my code into him, and he was like one of the most rigorous guys I've ever worked with. If you had an extra space in your code, he's like, "Yo, remove that space." And I learned to be able to take criticism very well, because these were like, they were at the top of their game. You can Google their names right now. I've done it before. I worked with, is his name Don West? John West. I worked with John West, Pete Amundsen, and these were some people really at the top of the games. And
yeah, I've heard of that Pete guy, John. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Let me show you. Like, for the people that don't believe me, let me show you. I worked with this guy, Pete Amundsen. We worked on Comcast together. Pete Amundsen. You probably, yep, there it is. Look, let me share my screen. You can see it. You won't be able to see it. But anyway, so I worked on this specific software. Oh, he's at One North now. This was he's my lead developer here. Oh, damn, I'm not showing it. Pete Emerson here. He's the lead developer. You can see he's a white guy. Very, 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 like, meticulous. And so someone asked me earlier, I think it was the Forex kid, he asked me about, blacks, and like, I don't think there's an ecosystem of meticulous middle management blacks that would get a rocket to the moon.
Yeah, I heard.
Hey, you ever been to Berlin before? You ever been to Germany?
I've never been to Germany. But is Pete Pete Scandinavian?
I'm not sure what he is.
Okay, but I've never been to Germany.
But this is the software that I worked on at the time. The Federal Reserve just called me. I was thinking about Republic. And guys in the audience, if you want to hear it, let me know. I was thinking about doing the interview with the Federal Reserve online. Let y'all hear it. Let y'all hear John Galt doing the interview online. What do you think about that?
John, I would. My goodness, especially for the people who are in your field and up and coming. Why not?
I'd be sitting here drinking a beer doing the interview, like no notes. Like, I am that nigga. Like I've been doing this shit so long. What do you think about it? I do a fucking interview. Now, you want me to show you? Let me show you the message I got. Federal Reserve been calling me, the one in New York, the big one. They've been calling me for like a job for a minute. So look, I used to also work with this guy. Look, this guy was in Singapore. I was working with him at who's in New York? I was at Consolidated Edison. Nigga, I turn your lights off, bitch. So I was at Consolidated Edison, and I was working with this guy right here. Oh, wow, he's working at Conobos now. Wow, I know the guy who owns Conobos. I used to work with him, too. Anyway, so I worked in a very small niche of software. That's how software is. There's car software. There's a group of them. There's, I don't know, whatever software you're in. There's CRM. For those of you that use Salesforce, there's CRM software. You probably heard of that. But I worked in CMS.
Medical charting would be one too, like EMR, electronic medical record, like charting for hospitals. Is that a type of software too?
Well, they had their own thing. Let me show you. There's a company that used to call me all the time about jobs. I'll show you. Let me see. I think they've changed names so many times now. The only reason I want to work with them because they were out in Bowie. And I'm like, I ain't going out to Bowie. Oh, wow. So they've been bought by AstraZeneca. So there used to be a biotech company in Bowie, Maryland, in the DC area. It's called MedImmune. It was the global biologics and biotechnology research and development arm of AstraZeneca. Okay, so at one point they were independent, but now they've been bought out. But they've called me many times about a job. But anyway, so what was the thing? The Federal Reserve? Yeah, so they called me about this job, the Federal Reserve. Oh, wait a minute. I was showing you John West, whatever. But anyway, so John West, here it is. John West. Look, yo, wow. I did not know this. I know I've written a lot of books on sport. And I know the guy that owns this company right here, Conobos. His name is Akshay Sura. Akshay Sura, yeah. I've served as CEO of Sitecore. He founded Sitecore USA. I used to work with him when he was in Singapore. I'll show you that. He may still be in Singapore. Let's see if he's still in Singapore. He's retired. Yep. He was in Singapore for sure, though, because I worked with him when he was in Singapore.
Oh, anyway, wow.
Yeah. So he's the founder of Sitecore. And so I was working at Consolidated Edison, which is like the utility company for all of New York City. And as you can imagine, corporate affairs and everything, you have to make sure that the content that goes out is, very, very accurate. You're saying what you say. And it has to be in Spanish and whatever language and that's the content management piece of it. And this is this guy here is the guru of Sitecore, which at the time was a preeminent content management system. And I work with this guy. He's written books and everything. Yeah?
Hey,
Yeah,
hey, John. Hey,
what's up?
I just want to go back to what you were saying, like about the school and stuff about, you see the women come. That's not always the narrative of the case. Like me, I was one of it looked like I appeared to be one of those. Well, actually, you could have mistaken me. People knew I was working, but I could see somebody one day see me like in my regular clothes and like I'm going home and going to sleep. I work nights. I had to send my kid to daycare. I couldn't watch her.
Hold on. I don't have a problem with daycare. I don't
No,
have a
but
problem with
saying
you taking your
you
children
said
to daycare.
you said
No, hold on. I don't have a problem with you taking your I don't have a problem with any of that. The welfare aspect of it, I'm not here trying to change the world. But what I am saying is that, like, if you recognize that, hey, okay, the welfare people got this, the amount of money it would take for you to move beyond that is very, very high. In America today, to get away from, and I'm talking specifically to blacks. If you're living in the inner city, to get away from blacks, the cost is very high. Would you agree?
Yeah, I don't live in the inner city. I guess you just live in the suburbs.
Okay.
That's what I did.
Okay, but the suburb, do you work in or near inner city?
No, I
You
work in the
15
suburbs.
Do you work within 15 miles of the inner city?
I don't think I'm within 15 miles. So
Okay.
I
Well,
might
you're
be.
close.
Yeah.
Okay, you're close in inner city. It's like, what do they call it? Like a spoken hub? You know what, like a spoken hub, a wheel and hub type system?
Yeah, I know
Is
what you're
that
talking about.
everything kind of sprouts out from the inner city? Would you
Chicago
agree with
hub,
that?
Chicagoland. Yeah. I live in what they call
Chicago,
Chicagoland.
you know what I'm saying? And so, like, if Chicago were very safe, a lot of the people that live North Chicago, I used to work in Chicago. I work for Accenture. Accenture is right north side of Chicago. I'll tell you something interesting about Accenture. So the first time I worked for Accenture, I think I was working for insurance companies. I can't remember. But the time I worked for Accenture, I don't know who I worked for, who the client was. The first time they brought us to Chicago and they took us up to, I can't remember, north of Chicago, whatever the town outside
Downtown.
Chicago.
There were skyscrapers near it. You're in North
It
Chicago.
wasn't in Chicago. No. If you Google Accenture headquarters, they're outside of Chicago somewhere. Not their headquarters, but their offices are outside of Chicago. Like their training facility, they got like a campus up there. So they picked us up in limousines. Trust me. And they took us to somewhere north Chicago. Now here's what's interesting. The next time I worked for them, they required you to come to Chicago because of the violence. They're like, you know what? You don't have to come to Chicago. This orientation week, we'll just do it online. Because companies recognize that, like, that violence will scare people away.
Why do you I got a question. Did they say it's because of the violence or you just assume it's because of the violence?
Well, but see, that's the thing that is the problem. That no one's ever going to spell it out for you, like in big bold
How do you
letters.
know they didn't want to cut costs?
Well, okay, then. Well, the one thing is, like, they built out this big facility. And so you could say, well, they wanted to cut costs. But you'd have to also assume that there will be people hesitant to go to Chicago. That's fair, right? To fly into Chicago. And I remember when we went there the first time, they They didn't say don't go to Chicago because we were there for a week. They didn't say don't go to Chicago, but they provided a lot of activities to keep you from going to Chicago. So even with that, you have Chicago losing out because of the violence. That people outside of Chicago will do whatever it takes to come up with alternatives to prevent themselves from having to go into Chicago to deal with what's going on there. And the same thing happens in almost every city. I take so many phone calls from blacks who are, spending their, 75% of their income trying to other.
How do you know it's from living with other? Is it you saying other blacks or living with who? Maybe I don't understand you.
Well, I take the phone. Listen, I had a phone call from a lady from York, New York. She called in the other day, and she's moving down to work at the Cato Institute. She had lived in D.C. before, so she's familiar with D.C. And so I said to her, I have cheaper options in Southeast D.C. She said, nah, I've lived in D.C. before. And I had to coax it out of her, but she said, I don't want to live around blacks. And she was African. She was Nigerian. I coaxed it out of her. And everybody is living this big lie where they can't be honest. They got to tell you this, they got to tell you that. But in reality, they really just don't want to live around black people. And they're not making distinctions. They say, oh, this is a rich black person. I live around rich blacks. Because there aren't enough rich blacks to say, well, I'll just live around rich blacks. Hey, you're not going to have enough money to live around them anyway. We talk about the statistics of blacks just don't make a lot of money. And so if you don't make a lot of money, they don't, right? And I live in D.C. where I see a lot of blacks, the ones that do make a lot of money, they're running scared right now, scared Donald Trump is going to cut the government. In other words, much of their income is government related. PG County with government-based income. So anyway,
so you'd be surprised, like how much is government income in the grand scheme of things. So I'm not. So, but see, they don't want to live around black like me. I don't mind living around middle class blacks and upper middle class blacks. That's usually like my area. Well, since you're familiar with my city, or maybe I don't know if you're familiar with the South Side, like suburbs. Like I live in Hazel Crest. My neighborhood is like a neighborhood. You been to Hazel Crest?
I don't think I've been to Hazel Crest, but I've been to the South
Hazel
Side.
Crest does have a rich part and a little kind of upper middle class. I used to live in the upper middle class when I was younger in Hazel Crest. It's really nice. Matter of fact, my part of Hazel Crest, at first when I was growing up, it was the best part of Hazel Crest. And when I moved out there, they built another subdivision of Hazel Crest, and it's really nice, like $500,000 homes probably now. They big, nice houses or whatever. But
and that's one of the things. Hold on for a second. That's one of the things I was on Free Zone News channel, and I was telling him, I said, he was trying to show me some of those small neighborhood in Memphis with $1 million homes. And I'm like, bro, most of those blacks got jobs, and to work a job every day, it's a lot of stress. And if you have a high cost of living that's predicated on you getting up, going to that job, that makes the job a little less enjoyable. Would you say this?
Yeah.
And that's what I think a lot of the blacks are encountering is that they're trying to move away from blacks. They don't make a lot of money. Now they are facing cost of living that's sucking up pretty much all of that high income that they make.
Like I believe the black community does have like a lot of bad stuff and glorify negative things. But you talk about black people like you really have a vendetta, a hatred for black people just being black. Like you don't You just make it like all these blacks. I'm like, not all black people, like, even not even all poor black people are like that.
Now again, the fact that I deal with poor black people. One of the biggest problems with poor black people, the ones that are trying their best, I think the other poor blacks just drag them down. And I've highlighted this on this channel. For the young, I'm 50 years old. Like, whatever it's gonna be, it's gonna be. I made my living, but I have made my living, and I played the clip many, many times. Yeah, I want to see if I can get on my Wi-Fi. Give me 1 second. See it on my Wi-Fi. Let's see if it's. I don't know if my Wi-Fi is fucked up or something. But anyway, I played the clip many times about Charleston White talking about the Chitlin Circuit. You ever heard that?
Yeah, they used to say that back in the 30s and 20s, like the performers. You see it in what was that movie, Bessie Smith movie? They called it the Chicken Circuit that she was on at first.
Yeah, and so and I talked to some people like questions to ponder, and I really don't think that people understand what they're seeing when they see me up here. As I said to you, trust me, I know black so well. I was able to coalesce all them niggas under 110, the Gospel of Bob. But then all these fuck niggas start coming over here. Art, I ain't got no problem with Art. See him over here. He came in hot. But then I could have come in and I could have come in like, man, fuck you, Art. I ain't do that. Because I've dealt with blacks of all different levels. And so one of the things that I'm giving you some game here. One of the things that I've learned over my years of life, and this relates to the conversation with Art, you can't give the blacks what they really want. A lot of times, blacks want to be confrontational. You bump into them motherfucker, he ready to get busy. But if you show a little different, hey man, I'm sorry for bumping into you, it throws them off. That's how I've made my living. And I know this sounds very simplistic, but that's how I made my living. And I'm trying to impress upon the other blacks that are going about their life trying to bump their head through corporate America, which they don't have the IQ to do. Because I've done it. I am the one nigga. And it's very interesting. As I think about, let me pour me a drink. What the fuck my drink at? And I am the one nigga, I think that you could point to on YouTube. I don't know how many niggas are on YouTube. I don't follow a lot of niggas, but whatever. Nigga, I was a software developer, very corporate. I worked at Jew law firms like Wild Gosham. Gossel. You want me to pull it up? Let me pull the law firm up. I work for. Let's see. Wild Gosh. Let me see. I work for Wild Goshel and Mangus law firm. Yeah, it's a very Jew. Man, listen. Well, I used to work for this law firm right here. Listen. Now, this is no lie. Damn, I don't know why my internet's fucked up, guys. I don't know. But anyway, I used to work for a law firm called Wild Goshel and Mangus. That motherfucking law firm was so small hat. The milk for your coffee was from kosher. Understand? Wild Goshel and Mangus is on 59th and 5th. And I worked there with a nigga named Ning Mang. The Chinese nigga, right? He my manager. You know what I'm saying? I am a very corporate nigga. I worked at some very large companies, Fannie Mae, It's a what is it, Wild God Show. Nigga, I developed the Olympics website. Some real shit. And I think my opinion is has some weight here. That I just don't see the blacks competing in that environment. Just to be honest with you. And again, like, think about the curiosity that I had. I wish I should call this fucking nigga. I'm gonna call him one day. Yo, I'm gonna tell you. So that white manager that I was talking about, the one that fired me, the one that taught me about software patterns. We used to go to dinner. We used to go out to dinner and shit here in DC when Trump used to have his hotel downtown. And I have to pay for the dinner because his wife was a big time Democrat operative. And she can allow a credit card transaction being seen on their family credit card at the Trump Hotel. You have to understand how serious the game is played. Right? It's here in DC. You remember Trump used to have a hotel here in DC. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
It's a post office. Old post office building.
Old post office. Trump. Listen, when I first came to DC, trust me, I used to date this woman. And I would look, I Google like whatever it was, like, what is the post office? So I walked down to the post office and that shit was dilapidated. I was like, what the hell? It was like homeless people down there. And Trump took, years later, Trump like, yo, this is prime real estate. This shit like 2 blocks from the White House. Seriously. Now it's the Waldorf Astoria. It's 2 blocks from the White House. What those of you that don't know who want to call Trump a racist, I'm gonna give you some inside dope. My buddy Philippe and I've shown you the pictures of me in the Trump Hotel. Right? Anyone seen it? Don't make me pull it up. I got pictures. Me and one of my lovely ladies. And so I'm in the Trump Hotel, and the first person you see when you walk into the Trump Hotel is, you won't believe this, a black person, African nigga. And I walk in, then there's other black people floating all through the hotel. So I sat down, my buddy Philippe and I ain't gonna tell you too much because I doxed myself. But I was there when Trump first got elected. I think whatever. It was one of those events right around Trump when he owned the hotel, but he, and so there was very liberal magazine. It began with what's some of the liberal magazines? Liberal magazines. But let's just say it began with a
Washington
liberal publication. Okay, let's say it didn't begin with a W. So I'm giving you guys some hints. It did not begin with a W. So if you want to go find the article, you can probably check it and find it. And so I'm there in the Trump Hotel, and that was right around the election time. And so the media really misquoted me, John Carr here. So you can find that online. So interesting.
This is first administration.
It was the first administration.
Okay.
I'm not sure. It was an event. I can't remember what event it was. If you find the publication, you know it's about the event. But it may have been the inauguration. It wasn't the inauguration, but it may have been an inauguration. But it was something like that. And so this reporter comes up, very nice looking person, a lady. And she comes up to me. But anyway, just like the interview from the other day, where they quoted me, you'll see kind of the similar thing if you find that article there. What's Anton talking about here in the chat? Yo, what do you think about a overnight stream, Republic or IKYL? I've been thinking about doing this shit.
Well, I work 2 days a week, and then when I do, I work overnight. So, like, that would be I could be up listening to that because I don't really sleep, at night. But John, this is what I wanted to say about. I think maybe Linda was letting on to this. What she was trying to say is, I think that people, we all have different strengths. Like you are good with what you do with, what IT and everything that encompasses IT and all the languages, the code, the everything that is that. And I'm wondering what you may be saying is that Black people don't take big risks. And what I'm thinking is sometimes, you know what, John, like when I look back, I'm thinking Black people were on some level, very bold. And it was like when they felt like education and things like that were like fleeting and it was out of their reach, they wanted it more, like let's say foreparents. But then when it became in grasp, I think it was almost like Black people had this mentality, and it was taught to talk to Black people, sadly, is like, don't dream too big because they'll take it away. I hear, and this is what I hear a lot of black men, especially, saying stuff like with this fearful mentality. And you can listen to it on whenever they get on a panel, they're talking about what someone took away from them. I've seen this mostly in Black men with this very fearful mindset of, don't go too far or they'll burn it down, they'll take it away. So somehow in the Black community, this was like this passed down message. I don't think it really went down to the women though, but I think especially Black men have it. What would you say?
You said quite a bit here. Hold on, let me make sure my phone is charging. Now you said quite a bit. Damn.
Black men being fearful. In other words, it's it's the, let's say, not going for the gusto, like let's say the mentality of they'll tear it down, like talking about probably white people, because the they always means white people. Yeah. So like just going for the bare minimum and being afraid, but then telling other people to be afraid also. So you keep passing that down. I don't think that works with Black women a lot, though.
The more and more I think about it, honestly, I'll tell you this. I interviewed a guy on a street interview. He was in New York. And he was from some area up there. What's that area where Obama goes and all the blacks, the richy blacks?
Where is it?
Martha's Vineyard, right?
Oh, Martha's.
And so the guy was saying, and I asked him, I said, do you ever wonder why the blacks don't find their own place to go? He said, yeah, I've thought about that. Why don't they find their own place? Why keep coming up into this white area for vacation? Can they find an area in Atlanta?
But blacks have been going to Martha's Vineyard, like I would say those, what was the blacks from like the 1920s and even earlier. No, maybe not the 1920s.
Nah, ain't no rich.
Yeah, maybe I think, because there were these.
But I mean, but the bigger point, the Republic.
Okay, go ahead.
If you find rich blacks, they want to go around whites. Like, they don't want to be around blacks. That's just what it is. And the blacks need to be honest with that. That's what the white men say. Like, why the fuck do blacks want to come around us? If they're rich, can't they build some shit that's more in line with their beliefs and ideals and values and the way they like their music playing?
But what would those ideals and values be? I mean, let's just say that there are people who...
Don't you listen? You ever seen Obama's party? Nigga like to party. The president of the United States, he like to party, man. Like, he like to party. Big parties. Even during COVID, he big party. DJs, shit like, you ever live around blacks with money? They party like a motherfucker. Let's be honest. Like, they live around rich blacks is different than live around rich whites. Let's be honest. I'm talking about on the extreme levels of wealth. If you living around Puffy or if you living around Donald Trump, it's going to be different. And so blacks need to come to grips or acceptance that they live differently. And I think, honestly, if you look at JP, I see someone mentioning me in chat. JP has a better chance of taking off than a lot of these niggas that's working bullshit 9-to-5 jobs that they hate.
I don't agree with that.
Okay. Okay, if you don't agree with it, well,
I
you have
can
to
explain
hold
why
on.
though.
Well, okay, well, explain it with the realization of with reconciling it with what Skywalker said about JP. Hey man, when you take off, man, don't leave us behind. That is a recognition. That isn't, he's recognizing that JP has some talent that he could take off. The average guy, Art, can't take off. And it's not a criticism, Art. Nigga, I can't take off like probably JP could take off because he really been his ghetto self and there's a bigger market for that. And so that's why Skywalker said that, Art. And so think about how many black men have gone to college and they're sitting there listening to Skywalker praise JP and saying you can take off. Wow, no one's saying to them, no one's saying to Dave Trent III that he can take off. That nigga, he a dud.
Yeah, but I think that, but John, we have to, I guess define like taking off. Let's say that, certain things can go viral. I think that, depending on where you're operating on a certain.
I'm not talking about viral. I'm just saying like potential.
Right. His potential. Well, yeah, exactly. He understands that, that there's always a JP has I guess a niche, that some people will like and will listen to, but at the same time, once you unpack all that and once you really listen to him, he's got the same, to me, what I would say that the same types of hang-ups, insecurities, stuff that he's battling that come from his environment.
But see, well, again,
if it's just
what I think you need to do is abstract out from JP. Stop talking about JP. Right? This is abstract thinking here. JP lives about as well as the average black who gets up and busts his hump every day. That's true. Right? You have to admit, that's true. He got food, he got shelter, he got housing, he got clothes, he got internet, he got everything you got. He may not have the amenities, but all the basics he has. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah, I would say that's fair, and I think I have
I don't need to hear any more than that, right? If you agree to that, then you have to also agree that he's not putting in half the effort that you're putting in to get these things. Would you say that's a yes or no? It's yes or no. All I need to know.
No, I would not. I'm not going to agree with that because it takes yeah, see that, but John, you have to allow me to finish it. I mean, unless you want to go ahead and finish what you were saying, then I can respond.
Okay.
Well, what I'm saying is, you do have to put a lot of effort in because to get all these things for free, you do have to have like a lot of kids. You have to be like basically, in poverty. You have to bear. Well, no, but again, you're not just being thrown. These things don't just fall from the sky. You have to. There's an amount of, sadly, of a type of hustle that is not natural to what a man should strive for. So it does, John. It really goes against what humans should be wanting to strive for.
I agree. I can agree with all that, but
So
you up in you up in the
it takes
clouds
me,
here. What I'm saying is that if you look at the average, look at the statistics. Average
but
black
he's
man.
not. When he's getting, but it's not. Oh, that was but maybe. But even let's say black men, because there are black men who are out there that and they're doing okay, and they would rather if they have to push it a little bit harder to not have to be in the position that JP is in. Because again, let's take away the kids from him. He wouldn't be in this position, and he probably learned this from the same type of, that like.
And see, this is the thing, like honestly,
Mhm.
I
I
don't know
just think
why.
some of the stuff
But,
is generational. It's learned behavior.
I gotta stop you for a second. I don't know why blacks do this, and it's very interesting. You create a hypothetical that doesn't exist.
But it does.
But he has the children now. So
Mm-hmm.
don't tell me about what if he didn't have the children. He has them now. And
but that's probably why he has them, because again, it's like he gave examples of why he did it. Okay.
I don't care why he has
Okay.
them. And that's a source of income and living for him. Correct?
Correct.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And so when you look at the average black man who only makes about $50,000 a year, he's not doing much better than JP. Trust me. I rent to these niggas. I throw them out every day. He can't have 3 or 4 children like JP can because he can't afford it. He's constrained. He's restricted. He's restrained. He can't pursue his sexual desires like JP can. That makes a man angry. He sees a man with 3, 4, 5 kids and he can't afford to have one. You don't think he's angry about that? Come on, use your head. You got to come down to the street level where I am. I am that.
But JP can't afford them either. So that's the thing. He just get it, but it takes it.
How do you think JP?
No. Okay, but it depends on the level of the women he's dealing with too. Okay,
all off topic. The average nigga man, if he had 3 women and he working, he fucked up. JP got 3 baby mamas. He ain't fucked up. He ain't got no pressures, no stressors. If you can't understand that, then you just don't know the way of the world down on the street. And I understand that too. But you JP is living a whole different life without the stress that the man has to go get up and work, who can't even have children, can't afford them.
It's just a different hustle. So one person's hustle may be, you're right. I think that it might not be the hustle of, getting your uniform ready and ironing it and, and getting up and bathing kids and taking them to school and stuff. But it's just a different hustle, because if he, without, these, let's say the safety net, then he's just hustling differently, because he still has to rely on other people, and that's just a different hustle. I mean, he always has to hustle up his sleeve. It just might look differently. That's all it is.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think JP's happier than the average guy going ahead busting his hump, average black guy making $50,000 a year busting his hump?
John, I don't see. First of all, I'm not I guess I know you want this to be like black and white, and I know because I think that there is maybe, I'm not sure. I'm not a man, but what I would think is that JP always has to be looking for, okay, well, when this runs out, who am I to go, what side of town do I need to go to next? Who already knows me? Who's kicked me out before? Who knows my hustle already?
Tomorrow,
it's just a different hustle.
Tomorrow, I'm going to call my next door neighbor on this side, and he's going to tell you a story about Ernest. Remember Ernest?
I think, yes, that's the guy who threatened you.
Ooh, man, we got 38 people in the audience. Does anyone remember Ernest? Anyone remember Ernest? No one remembers Ernest. Republic. Is anyone in the audience and they remember Ernest? Damn.
I thought Ernest was the guy who threatened you.
Yeah. So when I put Ernest out, he started asking for a room from my next door neighbor. My next door neighbor is Eritrean. He's not going to rent the blacks. So even though we're in the ghetto, Ernest can't rent from a black man. The world gets smaller for the blacks. And I'm going to have Ernest, well, not Ernest, but I'm going to have the guy up on my next door neighbor up on the channel. And he's going to explain to you again how the world is getting smaller and it's getting smaller. And these are the things I'm trying to explain to the blacks. Their behavior is so bad that even the Africans don't want to deal with them. And so it doesn't matter how many streams Stanley does trying to mitigate what everyone else is saying. Like, people down on the level, they have to do business. They don't want to do business with blacks. That's my thoughts.
Well, but at the same time, would not JP be that black person too, that that someone wouldn't want to do business with? I mean, his situation isn't exactly very attractive.
Sure, and I'll stop you. But the reason people do business with JP is he has a government card in his wallet. The blacks don't make enough money to compete with that government card. That's a real big problem for the blacks. You hear my buddy Philippe on the line. He talks about how he wouldn't rent to a regular working class black. He'll rent to a government black, but not a working class black. That's a very serious problem for the blacks, the working class blacks, because many of them are not smart enough to make enough money to get above the government support for the poor, lower class blacks. That number gets higher and higher. The average, the 3-bedroom price that the government would pay for a lower class black is like $2,500 here in DC. The average black can't afford that. So he has to move further and further out while the ghetto niggas get the benefit of the inner cities. See how that works? Look at it.
How it works. I know it does seem like it's backwards when you think about it, because it's still, even though it may be working this way now,
it's not working.
To me,
what do you mean it may be working this way now? It's not working.
Well, let's say it is what it is. That people are like, hey, look, I'd rather have 2,500 of guaranteed, because either they can hike up a price, and then the regular working class person can't afford it. It's like, but still with that, it still comes with all the issues that government card comes with. It's not just a single person who's a professional, getting 2,500, to, let's say if it's like whatever, Section 8 or whatever it is, it still comes with everything that comes with. And sometimes, John, people would rather not that, but they do want the reliability. I guess that's that money is pretty much guaranteed, but it still comes with some other problems. My fiance said that he had, years ago when he was doing a lot of like the landlording stuff, he's like, you have to have specific, like you have to meet the criteria of these people getting this, or you wouldn't be able to get the money. You had to make sure that it was up to whatever the code that the government set for you. Even I've noticed that. He stated that years ago. Maybe it's still the same.
Yeah, all that's true. But the bigger point is that the average black is a slip and fall away from not being able to pay his rent.
When you say the average black, John, who are you talking about? Are you talking about men most, or are you talking about women too? I'm sure you're talking about women too.
From Sandra Bland. Remember Sandra Bland?
I remember Sandra.
Right. Okay, so you remember her. Okay. And so from her all the way down, there's a lot of blacks that are just one slip and fall away from falling 2 or 3 rungs down the ladder. And that's a lot of pressure on blacks. That they have to go into a workplace that they don't like working, smile and grit and grin, because they don't want to fall down a notch. Because they don't want to live around other blacks. That's very true.
But John, you know that, but I think this kind of like, even now, listen, I'm not trying to do the, you know, because we have a mortgage, to, you know, and stuff. But what I'm saying is, there are other people too who are like, well, because they want to keep their kids in a certain area, and this is, you know, not just black people.
It almost all
literally, it's all relative. You know, it's just like, you know, other people are having to stay where they are too.
It almost all comes down to blacks, honestly. Yo,
okay.
I'm fucked up. I'm getting fucked up.
Which blacks, John? Is the blacks who prepared well, the blacks who have a lot of kids? Like, because again, if it's just one person and you know, or you're, let's say, a young couple, no kids, you know, it to me, it just depends on how you prepared and who prepared before you. So, you know, if you're kind of being intentional about your future, I think that you are right, but I think that you need to apply it where it's needed.
I don't disagree with you on it. Hey, Solid Snake, you want to come up, man? I do need to take a brief nap. I'm fucked up.
Okay.
New stream. I'm start up a new stream. Give me like an hour or two, maybe 3 hours. I don't know, maybe early in the morning. But I need to take a break for that. Guys, make sure you hit the like button, share, subscribe. I am John Clark, the most racist motherfucker on the internet. You have to calm down when you. This nigga has a motherfucker, by the way. Let me go fast forward. I am the nigga John Clark. This high ass nigga.
They don't dance no more. It's all about the lean. Back in the day, crack was jumping on the scene. Now they slumped on the sidewalk. Can't talk. Golden era faded, but we still feel the rock. They used to be kings, now they lost in the scheme. Popping them bottles, throwing money, living dreams. Now they zoned out and mumbling, fumbling. No rhythm in the city, the whole shit crumbling. They used to rock the house, they was riding through the street. Remember there was dancing, sliding to the beat. Now it's poison in their veins, ain't no pulse on the street. Guess it's over now, they accepted the back in the day, the rock had them wild and free. Different story now, they got no energy. The new drugs got them slow with the head unload. Half close and they don't dance no more. Block used to be jumping, type shit they was on. Now it's lights out, guess the thrill is gone.
I am the nigga. I bring it to your rough, rugged, and raw, nigga.
They don't dance no more, it's all about the codeine. Back in the day, they was rocking on the scene. Even dancing in the rain. Now they nodding off. Shit just don't hit the same.
I am that nigga.